Someone fired shots, one of them hitting the car, another one hitting a young woman who was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Police say if you know something about this, they want to hear from you.
In just hours, 4 men accused of opening fire at a Hickory pool party are expected in court. Isaiah Mitchell, Keandre Mack, Zachary Michael Bates, and Toland Huff Jr. are facing first-degree murder charges. It all stems from a mass shooting that happened on June 1st. 58-year-old Sean Hood was killed. 11 others were injured. So far, 8 people have been arrested in connection to the shooting.
Also happening today, Charlotte leaders set to vote on next year's budget. The $3.6 billion plan does not include a property tax increase, but does cut significant funding to local nonprofits. The meeting's happening tonight at 6:30.
And Chimney Rock State Park is set to welcome back visitors on June 27th, exactly 9 months after Hurricane Helene forced it to close. However, reservations will be required. The park's reservation site will go live in the coming weeks.
All right, final check at those roads before you head out the door to start your Monday. It is beautiful outside, and really it's been quiet through most of our morning. We just had this one accident right now. You can see it here as we zoom it on in. It's on Milton Road at Sharon Amity Road. Just a little bit of a slowdown there. Otherwise, not seeing any major concerns. Chris?
Well, you have one sliver of red that you can see here that might be a problem for you, so that's why we're going weather alert really starting at 6 o'clock until about the 2 a.m. hour, and I think it's a little bit earlier that we're going to see the worst, if any, of that weather. Then we have the mid-80s, slight chance for a pop-up storm during the middle of the afternoon. Wednesday, the only day without a thunderstorm chance before we're back to business as usual, pop-up showers and thunderstorms with highs near 90.
All right.
Oof.
Business as usual for June. That's right. A reminder, the news doesn't end here. We're live all day long with breaking news, weather, and traffic.
That's on WCNC Plus. We are streaming there now. Make sure you join us and make it a great Monday.
Happy Monday. You are streaming live with us right now at 7 a.m. on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington. A live look at Uptown right now, where this Monday morning is looking pretty good, but we are weather alert today. Chris Mulcahy has a check of the WCNC weather impact forecast.
And the impacts are just this evening, for the morning, for the afternoon. It's gorgeous, and this morning is actually my favorite because it'll look like this most of the time. Once you get to about the afternoon, and that's where we're expecting a lot more of those cotton ball-like clouds, fair weather cumulus clouds will likely start to take over, especially by the late afternoon, turning almost partly sunny, but it should be a decent day leading up to that. 65 around Hickory, same thing for you in Statesville, back up to 72 for you in Charlotte, and 69 around Charlotte. And it doesn't get much better than this. It's still pretty humid for a start for your Monday morning, but then once you get to the afternoon, 89, still feeling like 90, but we should have a little less moisture in the air, which is always a nice change. 78 in Boone is going to be really nice for hiking around or just walking around Watauga County. I want to show you some of the warmest days, and we've actually did these through the weekend. June 7th, that was on Saturday, we hit 91 degrees. So we finally hit our first 90-degree high for the year. You typically do it on May 20th. Last year we did it on May 13th, so earlier than 2024. And then 90 degrees will be right back up there for your Thursday. But in the near term, we're focusing in on the next severe weather risk. And we did have a weather alert day for Saturday, and storms jogged in the evening. Really not a big issue. It's all down in South Carolina. And I still think most of the issue is going to be outside of our area. But we're still going to say weather alert just in case we do have a stronger storm later on this evening. I opened up the window 6 until 2 o'clock, where I think it's really during the evening hours that you're going to see the worst of this. Gusty winds, strong storms, even an outside chance of an isolated tornado. Stay weather aware, and we'll keep you updated right here on WCNC Plus. Thanks a lot for joining us. Here's what's going on. We have one front that'll push through, and then a secondary front will work its way a little bit closer to home. And it's all this energy that you're seeing over here in Jackson, Mississippi, that will eventually meander its way into the Carolinas and across our 22 counties that we cover here right on WCNC. You can see that here over the next 36 hours. Here's that front, starts to work its way in. A little axis of energy starts to swing in a little bit later on, so that's what we're really keeping an eye on. And I want to show you a closer look at all the above. I still think a lot of us are avoiding this, but once you get to about 6 o'clock, we are seeing a few clusters of storms that look to be pretty decent. That's where it's going to be interacting with some of the peak heat of the day. So between 6 and 8 o'clock, I think you see a couple of strong thunderstorms. The main line that will have the chance for maybe a spin-up tornado will likely already have a history at this point. This is going to be a decaying system, but we are seeing some indications, especially south of I-85, that the conclusion of this evening could have one of these. This little bow echo that sometimes you can have a little spin-up tornado in the north and the south, the bookends as it's called. And then once you get to about 1 o'clock, I think most of this is clear, but that is why we're paying close attention to that little cluster. This is about 11 to midnight, and by the way, it is a much more hazardous situation to have a spin-up tornado in the middle of the night compared to the middle of the day. Always more of a deadly situation. However, for this, it's going to be a very low chance that we have any of that activity. I just want you all to be weather aware, knowing that it is a possibility. Our muggy meter also showing that things come down slightly before we're right back into the muggy range, and we'll have that for the most of the day tomorrow. And then we'll also see another come down as far as the uncomfortable air by Wednesday, but then that's just a brief tease because we're right back up to even more humid air than what we had on Friday and Saturday. Next Friday and Saturday. So funny how that lines up. As far as our precipitation chances as well, we see about a 30 to 50% potential through this coming weekend, and we'll keep those 20 to 40 chances. That's about an isolated to scatter potential heading into next week. So our extended forecast, our 7-day, shows that one little sliver of a weather alert window. Slight chance for a pop-up storm later on tomorrow afternoon. After that, Wednesday is the only dry day that I have, 90 degrees on Thursday, and rocking the upper 80s for another June weekend. So that's a pretty decent start to the day weather-wise. Majestic, you have just been had full great news this morning.
Yeah, my job's been pretty easy this morning. People have been taking it nice and easy for their morning commute. We haven't seen anything significant, so fingers crossed we can keep it that way. Let's just take it easy as we're heading out the door. It's a beautiful start to the day, and I'm not seeing anything too out of the ordinary. I do want to just zoom it into a few of our watch spots. I-77, if you're coming in from Rock Hill, Fort Mill, we have mainly green out there. Starting to see some backup pickups here. I-77 northbound right by the 485 loop. And then as we head over towards the east, just a bit similar out towards Matthews. Again, no accidents there, just more people heading out the door and congestion starting. Much of the same inbound on Independence. This is the one accident that is currently ongoing. Starting to see some of those impacts there. Areas shaded in orange. There's a crash there on Milton Road at Sharon Amity Road. Otherwise, around it, most of it is still in green, so traffic is able to get around that pretty easily. Out towards I-85, you can see those lanes are definitely starting to pick up in colors, meaning that more people are heading inbound, starting to see those slowdowns as well. And I-77, not seeing anything too out of the ordinary from Huntersville up towards Cornelius. Drive times right now, if you're coming in from Gastonia, good morning to you. About 42 minutes to get to Charlotte and about 27 if you're coming in from Belmont. Ben.
Majestic, thanks. Streaming live right now at 7:05 on WCNC Plus, and an investigation is underway this morning after a Pineville street takeover ended in gunfire.
One person is recovering in the hospital. WCNC Charlotte's Richard DeVane joins us live this morning. And Richard, neighbors say this is usually just a really quiet area.
Yeah, that's what has them very concerned this Monday morning. Good morning to you, Lisa. Good morning, Ben. Let's take a look at this. Look, this is what's a street takeover, or it's been moved right here to this parking lot, this shopping center. A takeover nonetheless, and of course, police are concerned because in addition to this, there was gunfire. Now, as we take a look at video, this all happened early Sunday morning around 4 a.m. Police say several cars were seen doing burnouts and donuts right here in this shopping center, the Park 51 shopping center. Excuse me. Officers received multiple calls about a large crowd. They say there was some traffic blocked and then that gunfire right here. When officers arrived, they found clear evidence of a street takeover, and they learned that a fight had also broken out and several people got involved in that fight, and then someone actually pulled a gun and fired several shots. One of those bullets struck a vehicle, another hit a person in the leg. Some people have told me that it was a young woman. She was taken to Atrium Health with non-life-threatening injuries. And as you can well imagine, people in this area say they did not expect to hear of an incident like this in this normally quiet area.
Want to know what's really going on when I saw the black marks and all the tar and bottles and everything going on. It looked like a disaster drill.
It's crazy. It's too bad something like that happened over here, you know. It's crazy. I mean, it's pretty safe usually. I've never seen anything like that happen before.
I'm shocked they would even do anything like that in this, in this shopping center. So I'm just stunned it would happen here at all.
Yeah, but unfortunately it did happen. We do know that police say they continue to investigate. They say if anyone out there knows what happened here, they'd like to hear from you. We're right here in Pineville, guys. We'll send it back to you.
I mean, Richard, there's a lot in that area around there. I mean, I know you've got a number of shopping areas. You've got a number of restaurants. I think Atrium Pineville is just like across the street. Was there any damage in all of this?
Yeah, just from what we know right now, we can tell you that as far as the businesses, nobody has reported any damage. As you take a look around, we do know that that car was one thing that was damaged. But of course, this is Monday morning. A lot of folks who might not have been open on the weekend, they'll see if they have any damage. Of course, we're going to check with them as well and see if there's any damage. So right now, we know at least that car was damaged. But as far as businesses or other things that might have been damaged, we don't know that for sure yet. But when we do, we'll let you know.
All right, Richard DeVane reporting live for us there in Pineville. Richard, thank you. 7:08 right now, happening right now. Nearly 300 National Guard members are in Los Angeles after a third straight day of protests. Rioters yesterday set self-driving cars on fire in downtown as protesters blocked a freeway. The city's police chief says the situation is getting dangerous for both the public and his law enforcement officers. He's also reinforcing that his department is not part of ICE.
Equivocally clear. The Los Angeles Police Department does not participate in or coordinate with Immigration and Customs Enforcement on civil immigration enforcement. We've said this over and over again, and I can't stress it enough for the people in our community who have high levels of anxiety about this issue, that we want everybody to believe and be able to call the LAPD in time of need if they've been a victim of a crime or a witness to a crime. We need that. Otherwise, the system does not work. This violence that I've seen is disgusting. It's escalated now since the beginning of this incident. What we saw the first night was bad. What we've seen subsequent to that is getting increasingly worse and more violent. Tonight we had individuals out there shooting commercial-grade fireworks at our officers. That can kill you. And we have adapted our tactics to be able to have a chance to be able to take these people into custody and to be able to hold them accountable. We are overwhelmed as far as the number of people out there engaged in this type of activity and the type of things that they're doing. They'll take backpacks, and the backpack will have a cinder block in it. They have a hammer, and they'll break up the cinder block and use that, pass it around to throw at officers, to throw at cars, and throw at other people. We've seen people with hammers, and you've broadcasted, breaking the bollards behind the federal building and taking the rocks, if you will, or pieces of concrete, and throwing them at officers. We've had liquid of who knows what description thrown at officers. There's no limit to what they're doing to our officers.
Now, those protests continued all night. In fact, reporter Rob Scott got a first-hand look at some of those dangerous fireworks that you just heard the chief mention. Take a look at this.
Well, the chaos here in downtown Los Angeles continues tonight. I got to say, it doesn't feel like the LA we all know and are familiar with. This feels like some sort of third world conflict zone. I mean, we have fires burning in the middle of intersections. We have police and law enforcement agencies under constant attack by these protesters. They have had rocks hurled through the windscreen. And now they are firing fireworks directly at officers who have backed off a bit, I've got to say. And as the night has worn on, the number of protesters certainly has dwindled, but they are the ones left are the real anarchists, the ones who are intent on causing the most damage, the most mayhem. Donald Trump, as we know, has ordered in 2,000 National Guardsmen, he says, to basically crush these riots. The California governor, Gavin Newsom, warned that sending in those troops would only make things worse, be inflammatory, and that certainly does appear to be the case. And now we are learning that the Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, has more than 500 active duty Marines on standby to come in here if necessary. So as the night is wearing on, tensions are not dissipating. Things are only going to get worse, I fear. I'm Rob Scott in downtown Los Angeles. Back to you.
It's an incredible scene there. Just as authorities try to keep violence from escalating, the city officials are trying to keep people calm as National Guard troops move in. California
lawmakers also accusing the Trump administration of trying to make things worse. NBC's Chris Pallone has more.
Get back! Get back! As violent unrest in downtown Los Angeles spills into a fourth day, President Trump is defending his decision to deploy National Guard troops there against the wishes of California's governor.
We're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart.
The protests began in response to ongoing immigration raids. Federal agents arresting about 150 migrants around L.A. Protests, which started peacefully, turned violent, with demonstrators burning cars and throwing bottles and chunks of concrete at police.
These kids on the car, the folks that are taking advantage of this, these aren't peaceful protesters, a lot of these folks.
California's Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom blaming President Trump for inflaming a tense situation. It's the first time a president has activated a state's National Guard force without a request from the state's governor since the civil rights era.
Donald Trump has created the conditions you see on your TV tonight. He's exacerbated the conditions.
In D.C., lawmakers divided.
My concern, of course, is that this inflames the situation and that he is hell-bent on inflaming the situation.
One of our core principles is maintaining peace through strength. We do that on foreign affairs and domestic affairs as well. I don't think that's heavy-handed.
Meanwhile, the administration is threatening to arrest any state and local officials who interfere with immigration enforcement.
Stand in the way of law and order, they will face charges.
A political standoff still simmering as the situation on the ground boils over.
The president activated a total of 2,000 National Guard troops in California. About 300 are on the streets of Los Angeles right now. And Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said active duty Marines are ready to deploy to California if the White House deems it necessary. In Washington, Chris Pallone, NBC News.
There is more breaking news this morning out of Hartsville, Tennessee, where a prison riot broke out overnight. This happened at the Trousdale Turner Correctional Facility. We've learned 2 guards were being held hostage. They have since been released. Authorities say it started when several inmates refused to return to their cells. We're still working to learn more about that situation. Officials say no inmates escaped and all were returned to their cells.
Well, up in the mountains, we are now learning when Chimney Rock will finally reopen. The park set to welcome back visitors on June 27th. That, by the way, exactly 9 months after Hurricane Helene forced it to close. Reservations will be required. The park's reservation site will go live in the coming weeks.
7:15 now. Dangerous weather is threatening millions of people across the south and east today, and what could be yet another round of deadly and destructive storms. Ryan Chandler reports from Dallas.
A severe storm system churning out at least 1 tornado at the Oklahoma-Texas border, with huge swaths of the U.S. in the danger zone during a weekend of wild weather.
Oh my gosh!
An astonishing supercell in New Mexico, turning the sky dark. And this tornado touching down in Missouri, spinning 105-mile-per-hour winds for nearly 5 miles, damaging dozens of buildings and downing trees and power lines. The string of storms turning deadly. Georgia's governor says 1 person died due to severe weather there. Another death confirmed in Mississippi. And in Boston today, an eerie haze as smoke from Canadian wildfires blankets parts of New England. Chief meteorologist Rick Mitchell with our NBC station in Dallas says the worst weather could come to parts of Oklahoma and Texas in the middle of the night, and that could be more dangerous.
It's those people that go to bed at 9:30 and it's doing nothing, and then all of a sudden, bam, a tree goes through a window, wakes them up. Those are the folks that, I have concern.
All right, Chris joins us right now. Weather alert for later on this afternoon and this evening.
Yeah, we have the slightest chance for a tornado, a spin-up one. You wouldn't likely see this one because 1, it's dark, and 2, they're usually rain-wrapped.
Yeah.
But that's really what we're keeping an eye on because these storms are so strong that sometimes they can work their way into our area still holding together. And that's your option really later on this evening heading through the overnight. So it's all really coming from right here where you're looking. So a significant future cast showing widespread activity through this stretch. And it's all associated with that front. Some of the storm reports that we've seen here over the last 24 hours. Look at all that. A lot of hail and et cetera. A lot of wind damage as well. And then for the ones we were talking about in New Mexico where you saw those powerful supercells, those are originating right over there. And then if you actually add on, hey, check this out. I'll bring up our storm reports. That's over the last 24 hours. If you go over the last 48 hours, you can add a lot more, which also will accompany some of the wind damage that we saw in recent hours. So we actually had some decent storms that were working their way towards us. That was on really Saturday night. As you notice that most of the activity stopped before it got to our neck of the woods. So we can thank our lucky stars for that. There wasn't anything too major. Now let's go over to our weather alert window. I'm really opening it up between about 6 and midnight, even though I did have this until 2 o'clock. That's truly where I just think you're going to have the worst of the weather. So whenever we are weather alert, you're going to see one of these graphics representing our wind graphic, meaning when it's going to arrive, the impact, and what you need to do. So the wind window still opening up about 6 o'clock to 2. Realistically, I think the worst tornado potential is really just after the sun sets. That's where we have like a stronger energy associated with that system. But for right now, strong winds and gusty winds are going to be the biggest issue. And we also want you to stay weather aware. Have our WCNC app, and of course you're doing it right now. WCNC Plus is going to be your best friend for those type of events where we'll pretty much go wall-to-wall coverage if it looks like something is impending and pushing into our area. Futurecast by 5 o'clock, I think you might have a stray storm, but I think the chance for a more widespread cluster of storms is between about 6 and 8. That's the first time that we see this. Between about 8 and midnight is where we could see a leftover system, these MCSs, a mesoscale convective system. Oftentimes we'll have a leading edge that's bowing, and that's what we're seeing here. So if you live south of I-85, you have the best chance to see this. If you live in South Carolina, even a higher chance to have the remnants of this system. But the top of these sometimes can have some rotation rotation, and we do see that on our FutureCast rotation track. Seeing a little bit of yellow and this white, this is right around midnight. That's not a good time that we typically will have this type of report, so that's why we have to mention it. Our muggy meter also on the way up. If this is a little bit higher, I would actually expect a much better chance for earlier in the evening, but actually right when we have that rotation starting to roll through, our dew points get a little bit higher than actually where they're going to be in the middle of the afternoon. So the afternoon, I'm not anticipating any thunderstorms besides maybe after 5 o'clock. There could be a stray one, but most of us are staying dry. So another repeat at our 7-day forecast, 89 to 85, back to about 90 degrees on Thursday, and then the upper 80s heading through the weekend. There's only one day that doesn't have a chance for rain during the afternoon, besides today. That's going to be Wednesday going forward. So this afternoon and Wednesday afternoon, 100% look to stay dry. Now let's head over to Majestic, see what's going on traffic-wise.
All right, good Monday morning, everyone. It is beautiful outside. Time to wake up, drink that coffee, get going as you're heading into your Monday and your new work week. Here's a live look outside I-77 at John Belk. You can see much more cars out there now, and we are now still watching on a few accidents that are now starting to pop up. We've hardly had any so far this morning. Let's take into this one. There is a crash on Highway 49 at Lyons Main Street. So if you're going to be coming into the uptown area or traveling north from the Lake Wiley area, that's where we do have those slowdowns. And then just want to head off east, I-485 out towards Matthews. Also starting to see those backups. No accident there. It's just more people are hitting those roads. Inbound on Independence, you know how it goes. Slow moving at this time. And this accident has been ongoing for about 30 minutes, but cars are still able to get around it. It just might slow you down a couple of minutes. Crash on Milton Road at Sharon Amity Road. Notice mainly in the green. Some spots, though, are showing some slowdown in that orange. As we're looking at the uptown area, of course, all the streets are open from all the festivities that were ongoing over the weekend, but I-77 definitely seeing those slowdowns there. And then I-85, also lots of red here, no accidents, just seeing more people waking up and heading out. And wanted to quickly show you I-77, seeing some slowdowns southbound out towards Huntersville. Drive times right now, again, nothing that we're not used to this time of the day. 23 minutes coming in from Matthews and about 43 coming in from Gastonia. Lisa.
Thanks, Majestic. The Beach Boys took over Valentine's Saturday night to deliver some good vibrations to a sold-out crowd.
But as WCNC Charlotte's Larry Sprinkle explains, it was one group of really excited fans who ended up stealing the show.
California has come to the Carolinas in the form of the Beach Boys, and so have a lot of people and one very special group from Phillips Academy.
The Phillips Academy group got a special invitation from the Beach Boys to their sold-out show at the amphitheater, the Amp in Ballantyne, as part of their Sounds of Summer tour.
Then it's going to be like watching a, for lack of a better way of putting it, kind of a little thunderstorm on stage.
Charlottean David Beard actually publishes the Beach Boys magazine. His son Ethan invited some of his friends to come along and join in the fun.
I am so excited for the Beach Boys and with my crew, and I'm very excited.
Phillips Academy serves middle and high school students with developmental and intellectual disabilities.
It's a good opportunity to kind of celebrate all of their success, all that they've accomplished this year, and just for them to have a space to be with their friends is a really, really unique thing.
Then the highlight of the entire concert. The students joined the Beach Boys and special guest John Stamos to sing the hit song Barbara Ann. A night of timeless music and unforgettable memories for these inspiring young performers. In Ballantyne, Larry Sprinkle, back to you.
Love to see it. 7:23 right now. Washington, D.C. cleaning up this Monday morning after hundreds of thousands of people packed the city this weekend for World Pride. On the final day yesterday, community members, allies, and activists held an international rally and marched there on Washington. Organizers say the goal is to rally against hate and celebrate hard-fought freedoms.
Well, speaking of awards, a lot of stars from the stage are waking up with some big awards this morning. The 2025 Tony Awards were handing out at Radio City Music Hall last night with Maybe Happy Ending, a musical about two androids who find love, sweeping the show with 6 wins, including Best Musical.
Supposedly Audra McDonald performed at the end, but I didn't stay up late.
Man.
She's usually fantastic.
We have to go to bed early, so we missed that.
We often miss some of the best things because the best parts of the award show don't usually happen in the first.
Of course not. Sometimes in the opening is good, but the really good parts.
Keep you around, which means Ben and Lisa miss it, unfortunately. All right, we're going to take a quick break as we take live pictures right now over Uptown on a sunny Monday morning. Can't beat that. Chris standing by with a check of your weather impact forecast and why you need to be weather alert later on today. Majestic also standing by with a look at your Monday morning commute right here on WCNC Plus.
We got sunshine. It is a beautiful day today. Lots of those Carolina blues. Picking up more clouds by the afternoon, but we start off sunny to mostly sunny, transitioning to more of a partly cloudy to a partly sunny end of the day. 84 feeling like 86 to kick off the afternoon, and then we'll have a heat index range really about 2 degrees warmer than the actual air temperature. Our moisture value is actually coming down a little bit by the afternoon compared to where we are right now. By 6 o'clock, we're opening up our weather alert window. That's really from about 6 p.m. till about 2 a.m. You will have a chance for some passing showers and or storms. Keep that in mind. Stay weather aware through the overnight. By your Tuesday morning, we will have a chance for some rain and also a line of thunderstorms. Also going to be a possibility during your Tuesday afternoon. Perfectly dry, still in the upper 80s on Wednesday. Majestic, what do we need to know this morning?
All right, good Monday morning, everyone. If you are one of our early risers getting ready to head out the door, well, good morning to you. It has been pretty quiet on those area roadways so far for our Monday morning commute. I-77 here at John Belk. Of course, now we are starting to see some accidents. I need to let you know about this one here. If you're coming in from the Lake Wiley area and you take Highway 70 or Highway 49, there is actually an accident there on Lyons Main Street off to the east. Independence, here we go. First accident of the morning there on Village Lake Drive. And then as we're looking just to the north, this one's been ongoing for a little while now. Milton Road at Sharon Amity Road. Drive safe out there.
Happy Monday, everybody. Good morning. Thanks for joining us live on WCNC Plus at 7:30. I'm Lisa Washington.
And I'm Ben Thompson. Later today, the Charlotte City Council is set to vote on next year's budget, impacting everything from what you pay in taxes to activities your kids take part in.
WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards is live this morning. And Destiny, you actually spoke with a councilwoman about what this means for families across the city.
Yeah, I spoke with Councilwoman Dimple Ajmira. She is the chair of the Budget Committee in City Council, and she says one of their biggest priorities is investing in Charlotte's local youth, and that is something that's reflected in the latest round of budget adjustments and this new budget proposal. Now, the city's $3.6 billion budget sets aside millions for community programs, including two that support Charlotte's most vulnerable students. The Greater Enrichment Program, which provides free after-school care in Title I schools, received the full $200,000 they requested, but other groups weren't sure they'd get anything. The Save Our Children movement, a one-stop youth resource center in East Charlotte, wasn't expecting city support until council added funding for more nonprofits in a final round of adjustments.
This summer, there's going to be tens of thousands of children out in neighborhoods all across Mecklenburg County. They're allowed to come through, get free food, get free snacks.
We are allowing our parents to have free childcare. We're very concerned because our program, won't be able to operate if we don't receive funding.
Yeah, and they say these investments come at a critical time when federal dollars are starting to dry up and there's more of a demand for youth services, more people, more families needing that. And these budget adjustments happened during the straw vote last week. Tonight is the final budget vote and adoption. And Councilwoman Ajmira says with no property tax increase included in this budget, she is expecting it to pass tonight. I'll send it back to you guys live here in Uptown.
Okay, so no property tax increase. And aside from the youth programs, what are some of the other major areas that are going to be impacted by this budget?
Yeah, so while there's no property tax increase, there is an increase in utilities and services. So that'll total up an average of about $7.49 monthly for Charlotte homeowners. We know that city employees got a raise up to $24 an hour, not quite the $25 an hour they were asking for, but still a raise. We know that there's more funding for police, new fire station buildings, as well as funding to expand the 911 call center. And then revisiting the topic of nonprofits, not every nonprofit got city funding and not all of them got the exact amount that they were wanting. But Councilwoman Ajmira told me in our interview that they were really trying to prioritize nonprofits that work with seniors, that work with youth, as well as affordable housing. So lots to be considered in this final budget proposal. She, again, is confident that it's going to pass.
All right, Destiny Richards reporting live outside the Government Center. Destiny, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, good morning, everybody. I think the best way to put this is we've got sunshine. It doesn't feel like May. We are all in all going to be dealing with typical June temperatures. Upper 80s, and most of June, by the way, usually is in the mid to the upper 80s, and that's pretty much most of our extended forecast, our 7-day. And then you can see a decent amount of blue sky, just some of those clouds off in the distance across our Mr. Sparky Carolina camera network. Temperature still at 69 degrees right around Mecklenburg County, 68 in Monroe, 65 in Hickory. If you're out walking about, you're probably going to notice, it's a humid morning, but it's still delightful. It's still a good one for walking the dog or doing whatever you're doing outside. 90 degrees for a high right around Chirot, 89s for Salisbury, Albemarle, Charlotte, across over to Shelby and Rock Hill, and then 86 mainly for Hickory and the foothills. So I love the way today is shaping up, and we are not near the hottest days that we've had so far in 2025. We hit 91 on Saturday, 89 on Friday. So those are the hottest. We will challenge that range again on Thursday, but first we have to get there. First we have to get through our next round of severe storms. Now, I want to be honest about this line. This is not the most concerned I've been for any severe weather event that we've ever had. Far from it. I think it's actually going to be one of our lower end ones. We're still going to have a chance for scattered showers and thunderstorms, really between about 6 p.m. and 2 a.m. But what you're really relying on is whatever is severe or strong to our southwest heading into the evening, if it's still going to hold together. So I'm not discounting it. I'm just saying there's a lot of things kind of working against this, kind of similar to what we had on Saturday. Saturday really wasn't supposed to be a big deal during the day. Better chance during the evening. Well, it kind of fizzled out before it got to us. So I think we could have a similar situation to that. Still gusty winds and strong storms, and I even have an isolated tornado. It's going to be a possibility here. So stay weather aware and use the WCNC app and WCNC Plus as you're watching right now to get the latest information. Here's a look at where a lot of this activity is coming from. These storms are going to bubble up, and this general energy will push its way off towards the north-northeast. Already an active severe thunderstorm warning within that first band that I was showing you right around Alabama, and then the further west you go, I think the storm is going to be a little bit stronger. Here's what it looks like over the next 36 hours. Seeing a few of those scattered guys, but then here's the main bulk. This is an MCS, a mesoscale convective system. All that is a cluster of thunderstorms that kind of takes on its own energy. It's not dealing with, hey, I need to be a front, or hey, I need to be a trough or a low pressure system. It's kind of like a mini low pressure system on its own. Oftentimes we'll have a big curve to it, and then that's going to arrive a little bit later on to complete the evening. That's really what we're monitoring and why we're going weather alert, even though there's an outside chance that we could have a strong thunderstorm. We were showing you some of the storm reports earlier. Really, it's North Texas up into Oklahoma saw most of the activity over the last 24 hours. Okay, so let's get right to it. I already showed you really this evening heading into the early morning hours. I'm talking about hour 1 and 2 of Tuesday before we're good to go. But I want to show you what this looks like. Here's 6 o'clock. That's where we're opening up our weather alert window. Again, we're good for most of the day. And then these storms, once they get a little bit closer to sunset, are going to start to erode a little bit, but it's that first open window, really southwest of Charlotte, that we start to see that arrive. Here's that MCS that I was describing. You can see a little bit of a hook here. If this comes to fruition, yeah, we're looking at a pretty decent shot for a storm or two that'll come a little bit close to us. So notice that little bow right there that I could also allow for a little spin up on the northern part of that. So if we are going to have the worst weather, say the decaying MCSs I was showing you, I think that window of opportunity is really closer to about 9 to midnight. That's also where you have the most shear that could spin up a tornado along as well. And I didn't show it to you, but Tuesday afternoon, as the front's actually pushing by, we do have a slight chance for another thunderstorm during the middle of the afternoon. That will also have a chance to be a strong one as well. Then we take a break. Wednesday, I have no chance for rain or storms, but then the isolated pop-up storm, really hit or miss. More of us miss them than actually get hit by them. 90 degrees on Thursday, and then rocking some humid air in the upper 80s through this coming weekend. So that's everything you need to know in the weather world. Let's see what you need to know traffic-wise with Majestic.
All right, good morning, everyone. Taking a look at our traffic. It's beautiful outside. One of those mornings where you grab your sunglasses, take it easy. It's a nice start to our new work week. Always helps when there's a little sunshine as well. I-77 at John Belk looks just fine, nice and dry for you. But we do have some minor accidents that are starting to pop up. Nothing right now that's mainly impacting our interstates. Want to show you this, though, out towards Highway 49 at Stillcroft Parkway. You can see there is a slowdown now in those northbound lanes. Just to the north of that, another one still on Highway 49, this time though at Lyons Main Street. Want to take you up to a little closer to the uptown area. We'll head over towards Independence, where we have an ongoing accident here in those inbound lanes. It's at Village Lake Drive, so that might slow down your morning commute just a little bit. And this one here has been ongoing for a while, but notice we have mainly green, a little bit of a slowdown here off to the east, but it's on Sharon Amity Road and Milton Road. Besides that, as we head off towards the west, I want to show you our backups that are continuing to build. This is I-85, those inbound lanes. Of course, we typically see this every single day. Nothing out of the ordinary, no big accidents, just more people waking up, starting their day. If we do see more accidents, I'll be sure to let you know, especially if they do impact those major interstates. Lisa.
Majestic, thanks. 7:39 now in Catawba County. One person is dead this morning, another fighting for their life after a shooting in Newton. It comes just 1 week after a deadly house party shooting in Hickory. WCNC Charlotte's Bria Smith spoke with neighbors about the abrupt awakening.
It sounds like bombs dropping. Like 20 to 30, like boom, 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 boom.
It was early Sunday morning when neighbors like Laina Wilson and her daughter Nashandri woke up to loud noises ringing through their house.
Downstairs to my son, and I said, "Did you hear that?" And he said, "Yeah, it sounded like, gunshots." And he was like, well, I should call the police. And I was like, I don't know, just make sure that it was, maybe somebody was doing firecrackers. He said, okay, well. And then this morning I got up and all the police presence was here.
Newton Police Department, along with other local agencies, responded to the outlaw motorcycle clubhouse where they say the shooting took place.
We are holding a tactical perimeter while the crime scene is being investigated by the ATF and the State Bureau of Investigation.
The incident is believed by law enforcement to be gang-related, but separate from the Hickory mass shooting that took place 1 week ago.
We do believe this is gang-related between the outlaws and perhaps another motorcycle gang. We encountered about 30 or so armed subjects when we arrived here this morning at the crime scene.
Wilson says aside from a little commotion down the street, the neighborhood is relatively safe.
Usually lovely and quiet. Yeah, quiet. We got the high school down the street, so it's quiet neighborhood, nice neighborhood.
Still, law enforcement does want nearby residents to be aware.
No one is in custody at this point. I would say that there is some cause for concern in the general public. Should there be further reprisals or other acts of violence between these motorcycle clubs.
That was Bria Smith reporting. Now, we have reached out to Catawba County officials to try to find out the identities of the victims and the suspects.
A Hickory firefighter will be honored today after losing his life in the line of duty. Jake Bridges suffered a medical emergency shortly after crews extinguished a fire last week. A procession for Bridges will travel from Winston-Salem to Catawba County. It's expected to start around 12:15 and will travel west on I-40. Funeral arrangements have not yet been announced.
The search continues this morning for the person who shot and killed a 17-year-old girl in North Charlotte. Nevaeh Carter was killed at the intersection of North Graham Street and Craighead Road on May 31st. More than a week later, there are still no arrests. This weekend, her family and friends gathered at that intersection to remember her. They say she was a light that she brought to everyone she met.
I got to experience 17 beautiful years with my daughter. Everybody that knows Nevaeh knows to love Nevaeh. Nevaeh has a beautiful soul.
Police are asking anyone with information in this case to call Crime Stoppers.
Folks in West Charlotte seeking solutions this weekend to prevent gun violence. Angels of No Mercy hosted a Walk a Mile in Our Shoes event at West Charlotte High. It's the event's 5th year and started after the organizer went through an unspeakable tragedy. She lost her loved ones in 2 separate shootings just 3 months apart.
My son and my grandson were killed 5 years ago. I think events like this helps to calm it down a little bit. You know, hoping that people will come by, they'll see us here or see us marching and know that we stand for something.
It's all happening during National Gun Violence Awareness Month. Another event to raise awareness took place at the Union County Judicial Center in Monroe.
This morning, a new landmark honors Black history in the Queen City. Over the weekend, Mecklenburg County leaders unveiled a historic marker at the Franks house. Arthur and Bessie Franks bought their home on Dunbar Street in 1949. It was one of the few Black-owned homes in the area at the time. And while the Third Ward changed over the decades due to the construction of 277, their home remained a fixture in the area. The Franks family owned that property for more than 60 years. Mosquitoes are coming out during this warm, wet spring.
That's right. But before you lather up on that stinky, shiny bug spray, Megan Malaris verifies whether an all-natural alternative can stop the scratch without all that smell.
Is lavender oil an effective mosquito repellent? Our sources to verify are the National Institutes of Health, biologist Frank Fowler with Forshaw, and the CDC, who disagree.
Lavender is actually a plant, and there's an essential oil that's derived from that plant that has long been known for its insecticidal and insect repellent qualities.
Research published in NIH looked at plant-based repellents dating back generations. It found essential oils from plants, including lavender, showed good repellency over an 8-hour test time. Online, you'll find various DIY solutions on how to dilute the lavender by mixing it with the carrier oil, but be cautious.
You want to use a product that has been researched, has some government data behind it, and has been deemed safe to apply to your skin or to apply to your yard.
The CDC does not recommend lavender oil for this purpose. The only plant-derived ingredients on its list of suggested repellents are lemon eucalyptus oil and the compound 2-undecanon found in bananas and cloves.
So if there's something you would like us to verify, all you got to do is email us at verify@wcnc.com. Chris.
And for a Skeeter meter, we're going to have a big impact as far as this is concerned, because pretty much every day going forward, we're going to have somewhere in the high to yuck range. This is a little bit lower, just a high instead of yuck by the time you get to your Wednesday. So our technical terms for a Skeeter meter is that pretty much it's going to be yuck status for the next several months. Now, all in all, we have really seen an uptick in more mosquito days. So this is from Climate Central. I love the data that comes from here, but it's not always updated like per section. So the last report that I really saw from this was about 3 years ago, but on average we're adding about 11 more mosquito days to the given year. So we're seeing a lot more of those suitable mosquito conditions, and plain and simple, the ideal situation for any mosquito is temperatures above 80 degrees and also a humid environment. We see those all the time for almost half the year, and that's why we're seeing our mosquito days on the rise, especially when you get a dew point above 70. That is a tremendous amount of moisture to the air, because actually the more moisture in the air, the more that it can actually lift and rise, and that'll lead to more rain chances. That also allows the mosquito to be able to move up and down with a lot more freedom. You actually want a cooler and a dense air to try to hinder any of these little critters. Once it gets really below 50 degrees, you don't see as many as well, but obviously we know that's not really in our forecast anytime soon in the near term. Our Dallas camera is my favorite right now. I love the blue skies. Seeing some of those cloud cover off into the distance. 65 around Hickory, and then 69 in Charlotte, and then 70 degrees in Lancaster, and then 73 right around Boone. Highs today, we have the upper 80s, and that's close to 90 degrees depending where you are. Shara, talking to you, my friends, right around here in Chesterfield County. Pageland, I think you hit 90 degrees as well. Give another shout out to Chesterfield County. And then it's really going to be in this temperature range. I think we're lasting for most of our highs on our 7-day forecast. Our surface map also showing that we have a decent amount of coverage down to the southwest. That's going to allow a pretty strong thunderstorm over the course of really today heading into the evening across South Carolina, but it's really not until about after 6 to 8 o'clock that we see a much better chance for a storm right around Mecklenburg County in North Carolina. So I'm going to get you that timing. We're seeing our first signs of storms right here between about 6 and 8, but between about 9 and midnight, that's where you have a chance for something like this. Notice this little curve that you're seeing here. That would represent a little bow echo. You chance could also have a little spin up right in this range. It doesn't last too long. Really, by about 1 to 2, we're clearing out the last of the activity. So even though I do have a window open until about 2 o'clock, that likely would be closing a little bit earlier. That's just kind of just in case we do see a change. Also for our shear tracks or rotation tracks, we do see an elevated threat right around the hours that that storm system could be rolling in, that one that had a little bow. Notice the times, 10, 11 to right about midnight. So it's a really weird and odd hour, and this is always going to be a cause of concern. This is usually represented for this data here for the tornadoes are in the central part of the United States, but nighttime tornadoes are 1 in 20 turn deadly compared to 1 in 50 that turn deadly during the daytime, just because you don't know as much that's going on. So I'm not saying that exactly is the scenario, just always a good fact to mention, especially with an overnight event. And that's the main reason why we're going weather alert as well, because it could sneak up on you, and a lot of you are going to bed. Most of you are okay, but an outside chance you're not. That's why we have this window open. By tomorrow, slight chance for a general thunderstorm in the middle of the afternoon as the front clears. Temperatures down to 85 degrees. We actually have a dry day on Wednesday, feeling okay as well, before we're back to a muggy day in the upper 80s, close to 90 degrees each and every day, with a slight chance for a developing shower thunderstorm to close out the day and start the evening. That's Thursday through Sunday, something that we will be seeing a lot, Majestic, over the coming months.
I think you're exactly right. Thankfully, heading out the door this morning, morning. It is beautiful, though. I think everyone's looking forward to a little sunshine to help get your morning started as we're heading into our new week. Grab those sunglasses and some patience because we are starting to see some slowdowns for that Monday morning commute. Multiple accidents as well. We'll get through a few of the main ones here. If you are typically driving inbound out towards Lake Wiley, Highway 49, here we have 2 accidents that are really slowing things down. The first one on Stillcroft Parkway, and then just to the north, another one still on Highway 49, but this one on Lyons Main Street. So you can see lots of red popping up there. All right, here we go. Independence following this accident here. It's on Village Lake Drive. Notice mainly seeing yellow, so just medium impacts with that. Traffic is still flowing as quickly as it can. And as we're looking at this accident here, it's a crash on Milton Road at Sharon Amity Road, mainly in the green, so minor impacts. We do have this ongoing accident on I-77. You can see inbound lane. So if you typically travel this way, this is where we do have that slowdown. It's going to delay your morning commute by about 5 to 10 minutes. We're going to continue to update you on that one specifically. And then I-85 inbound, just saying those reds, but not seeing any accidents, just slowing down as people are starting to head out the door and start their Monday morning commute.
It's Monday morning trivia time, and today's trivia is all about movies, but not just any movie. It's movies made right here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Not in any particular order, but we go back in time to the movie Joanna Man. Speedway with Elvis was actually shot in Charlotte at the Speedway. Hunger Games, a famous film. The movie Nell was shot right here. Tom Cruise spent some time in Charlotte making Days of Thunder. The Vampire Next Door, filmed right here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Other movies made here was Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Yes, The Eyes of Tammy Faye, all about the downfall of the PTL Club. And then Will Ferrell spent a lot of time in Charlotte making Talladega Nights, the Ballad of Ricky Bobby, with famous lines like shake and bake and if you're not first, then you're last. That's your Monday morning trivia. I'm Larry Sprinkle.
7:52 now. Some claim chivalry is dead, but it may just depend on who you ask.
That's right. NBC's Kate Snow takes us to one after-school program in New Jersey that's helping transform boys into men.
The boys at Seaview Elementary in Linwood, New Jersey are learning more than just reading, writing, and arithmetic. They're learning etiquette as part of the Wise Guys Club, which teaches them life skills, chivalry, and manners.
How to have manners while around people. Instead of like going up to like your friends and like giving them a high five, you could like shake their hand instead. We are like a group of gentlemen. We're all like part of a family. I think these guys as like my best friends.
What have we already experienced going through this book?
Seaview second grade teacher Mark Schnepp, Mr. Schnepp, started the Wise Guys Club 15 years ago. It was small in the beginning.
We're now in year, I think, 14 or 15 of this. I bought pizza for the kids. We had saltines with spray cheese. I had no idea what I was doing.
The club grew and a second teacher got involved, fourth grade teacher David Wade.
Because I saw what the kids were doing with life skills, I wanted to be a part of that too.
The program culminates with a graduation of sorts.
You made it.
A white tablecloth dinner at a local restaurant. The guests of honor, their moms.
It's just supposed to be like a no-cost opportunity, a no-stress opportunity for the moms to just have a moment with their boys.
I can't wait. That's for like our moms, because like they like always work so hard for us, so we're trying to like give them like a break.
At the door, Mr. Wade gave each Wise Guy a flower for their mom.
This is where Mark and I kind of stepped back and watched our boys do the work.
What's it like for you to see them use your lessons in that dinner?
It is moving, and sometimes I need to take a step back and realize how far these kids have come. They really have grown so much in a meaningful way.
And the moms, let's just say they're pretty impressed.
I love everything that they learn throughout the year and how they just teach them to be respectful, etiquette, hygiene, especially hygiene.
Mr. Schnepp hopes the lessons these Wise Guys learn are lessons for life. What is your hope for these boys?
I want them to find themselves. I want them to be able to feel proud of who they are and who they're growing to be. And I tell them almost every meeting, you don't have to save the world in one day. All you have to do is just get a little bit better each day. And by the time you look back on yourself, you're going to say you grew up into the man that you were hoping to be.
I love that.
I love that. And it's a nice, sweet story from now, but really, honestly, the payoff is going to be 10, 15 years ago, and these guys are going to be men, and they're going to be mannerly and polite, and there's going to be people who are not that way, so they will stand out and be appreciated.
And that's the goal, right? Like,
Yep.
so as a mother of a young son, I want to raise him to be a good human being.
That's right.
That's so important.
I love it. I love it.
All right, well, we are going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere because more of that and other breaking news, weather, and traffic is coming up on WCNC Plus. In fact, we're going to have another track of weather and traffic in just 2 minutes, and then Ben and I will have the day's top headlines starting at 8.
Well, good day, everybody. We do have a chance for some stronger storms, really between about 6 p.m. and 2 a.m. It just depends on how strong the storm systems that are coming from the southwest and how long they're going to last is really going to dictate what's in our forecast. Slightest chance for an isolated tornado and some gusty winds, I think, are the biggest threats that we're seeing here. Highs today right around 90 degrees, back into the upper 80s, 78 around the Boone area and 86 degrees around Hickory. It's a mostly sunny start, but will turn partly cloudy to partly sunny by day's end. So a lot more clouds by the late afternoon. At this point, we're starting to see some stronger thunderstorms work its way in. That's why I extended the window out to about 6 o'clock to encompass some of these guys. And then you just see scattered rain, scattered thunderstorms heading into the evening. Some of these will have a slightest chance for a spin-up tornado embedded. After midnight, we could still see some more rain and storms, but I think the profile is much weaker at that point. So good news. Now let's move over to our morning commute with Majestic.
All right, good Monday morning, everyone. We are following this accident this morning. If you take I-77 southbound LaSalle Street, I'm seeing a big slowdown here. You can see all the red again southbound on I-77. This is our biggest accident as of now. This is a live shot of what's going on right now. This is frozen, but traffic is moving very slowly. So I suggest you take about 5 to 10 extra minutes to get to where you need to be if you take I-77 south, especially out towards LaSalle.
You're streaming live right now on WCNC Plus at 8 a.m. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington.
An investigation underway this morning after a Pineville street takeover ended in gunfire.
One person is recovering in the hospital. WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane joins us live this morning. And Richard, the neighbors say this is usually a quiet area.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct, Lisa. Good morning to you. Good Monday morning, folks. Let's take a look at what happened. This is this parking lot in the shopping center right here at Park 51 Shopping Center. As you can see, there are results of what police say was a street takeover, even though it happened right here in this parking lot. Now, this all happened Sunday morning around 4 a.m. Police say they got a number of calls about some cars blocking traffic, a large crowd, and even the sounds of gunfire. When they arrived, they did see what you're looking at, the result of some car that burned out, donuts, if you will, right here in this parking lot. Of course, they say they also heard of a fight, and in that fight, they say someone actually pulled out a gun and started shooting. They hit a car, as well as they also hit what some witnesses are telling me, that there are people who in the area say was a young woman who was also hit by a bullet. She was rushed to Atrium Hospital with what are being considered non-life-threatening injuries, being shot in the leg. We can tell you that, of course, the neighbors are the people who come to this area, frequent this area, know about this area, say they're shocked that something like this happened in such a normally quiet area.
Want to know what's really going on when I saw the black marks and all the tar and bottles and everything going on. It looked like a disaster drill.
It's crazy. It's too bad something like that happened over here, you know. It's crazy. I mean, it's pretty safe usually. I've never seen anything like that happen before.
I'm shocked they would even do anything like that in this, in this shopping center. So I'm just stunned it would happen here at all.
Yeah, that's the same thing we're hearing from a number of folks. I can't tell you that we're hearing the sounds of construction crews over in the distance. You might see them. We can say that right now they're doing a whole resurfacing, fixing up the facades of these buildings. They're also planning to redo this parking lot. That was something that they had planned before this incident occurred. One of the workers I spoke to said that they were planning to do this, but the person who owns this property is happy he's already planning a resurface, but he's concerned about if it happens again. Police say if you know something, give them a call. We're right here in Pineville, guys. We'll send it to you.
And Richard, we heard the people there saying that it's a safe area. It's usually quiet. This happened early Sunday morning. Now it's Monday morning. I imagine many of these businesses are going to be opening soon if they haven't already. Do you know if there was any damage to any of the property?
Yeah, right now we're still trying to figure out if there's any damage to the property. As you said, some of these businesses were closed. They're now opening up. We'll find out about the businesses. We do know, in addition to that young woman being struck by a bullet, a stray bullet, we're being told, also there was damage to a car, but that's one of the cars that were here in the area on Sunday morning. As of now, that's the only amount of damage that we've heard of. Of course, police and we'll be checking as well to see if anything else was hit during the gunfire.
All right, Richard Devane live for us this morning. Thank you, Richard.
All right, turning back to your forecast right now. Chris Mulcahy joins us and tells us to be weather alert later on this afternoon and evening.
Yeah, but for right now, you're good. Look at all that sunshine. Carolina blues with us. Just a few of those upper level clouds off into the distance. Nothing really to see over here in Monroe. And it's going to be a picture perfect morning where we're going to have a sunny to a mostly sunny day and then more clouds start to move in a little bit later on. We have now officially gained 3 degrees over the last hour right here around Charlotte, up to 70 around Concord, and Chirac, you are the warm spot at 73, 63 for you in Boone, and 69 over in Hickory. Hour by hour, one thing to note, it's still a sticky day. It's either going to be sticky, humid, or downright muggy over the next several months. But at least the values come down a little bit heading into the afternoon, but 86 will still feel like 88, and 88 could still feel a little bit closer to 90 degrees. Yesterday we had a high of 87 degrees. Not a bad Sunday overall. Today it will just be about 2 degrees warmer, but not really too far off from the mark. And our hourly forecast forecast shows you that everything is all good up to about 6 o'clock. At that point, I think we start to have some developing thunderstorms that are starting to push their way into the area. I think they'll actively be weakening, and then we'll wait for another weakening system that could arrive that could still have some severe criteria by the latter part of this window. After midnight, we still technically have a window of opportunity, but by 3 o'clock, I think all the severe potential has closed. From really 6 to 2, that's our highest impacts for thunder, lightning, gusty winds, and an isolated tornado. I think you can really narrow that down between about 9 to midnight, but that's still very low at this point. The Storm Prediction Center actually dropped us off even from the 2% chance. I'm just saying there's an outside chance that I am seeing something. And then also about half of us under this medium threshold, so especially south of I-85, you have the best chance for a storm, or at least a stronger thunderstorm, a little bit later on. So here's what it looks like. I'll clear out the way. I don't want my head to block that time. Here's 6 o'clock. Seeing some scattered showers and thunderstorms. Once the sun sets, I think that's where this decaying system, really it's a cluster of thunderstorms, starts to get going, will start to work its way in. So whatever this system is doing is really going to dictate what our forecast is going to do and what it's going to bring. But if it looks anything like this, look at this, that's a little bow echo. That could provide a quick little spin-up tornado on the northern side of it. And then also it could provide some really heavy downpours and gusty winds along it, and then that window really kind of closes after about 1 o'clock. So that's the time that I really want people to be paying attention. Here's our Futurecast rotation tracks, seeing a little splurge along this, but honestly this is getting a little bit weaker, but we'll still keep that around until about midnight. So a very outside chance for a spin-up tornado, likely it would be rain wraps. So here are our main threats. Seeing winds definitely take the high, and that's why we have that orange on the map. Our hail threat is at a very low. You could have some smaller hail earlier in the evening, but large hail I don't think really happens. And our rainfall chances, you can see only one day stays dry. That is this Wednesday. After that, we have all isolated to scattered chances Thursday heading through this coming weekend. Coming up, I'll have your extended forecast, your 7-day forecast. But first, we have to get outside with Majestic. How's it going this morning?
Good morning. Well, it's been pretty quiet through most of our day so far, but we're now starting to see this back up. It's on I-77. If you take those southbound lanes, well, you're going to want to listen up to this. At LaSalle, you can see cars are moving quite slowly because of an accident there. Not completely stopped, but delays are about 5 to 10 minutes right now. You can see where that crash is. Again, south I-77 at LaSalle Street. Lots of red there popping up on our live traffic maps, but that's not the only accident. I want to take you out here. If you're coming in from the Lake Wiley area and you take Highway 49, we have 2 ongoing accidents. This one here is on Stillcroft Parkway, and then another one just to the north of it that's slowing you down this morning on Lyons Main Street. As we're looking at Independence, here we go. We now have 2 accidents on Independence. This one here is at Village Lake Drive. You can see inbound being impacted there. And another one here. This is actually on Albemarle Road at Holly Rose Drive. Wanted to show you this because of all that red that's showing up on my map. I'm going to keep a close eye on this one. If we learn anything more or anything that might be more impactful, I'll be sure to let you know. But there's a look at some of the biggest accidents right now.
Majestic, thanks. 8:08 right now on WCNC Plus, and happening right now, nearly 300 National Guard members are in LA after a 3rd straight day of protests against recent immigration arrests. Rioters yesterday set self-driving cars on fire in downtown as protesters blocked a busy freeway. The city's police chief says the situation is getting dangerous for both the public and his officers. He's also reinforcing that his department is not part of ICE.
Unequivocally clear. The Los Angeles Police Department does not participate in or coordinate with Immigration and Customs Enforcement on civil immigration enforcement. We've said this over and over again, and I can't stress it enough for the people in our community who have high levels of anxiety about this issue, that we want everybody to believe and be able to call the LAPD in time of need if they've been a victim of a crime or a witness to a crime. We need that. Otherwise, the system does not work. This violence that I've seen is disgusting. It's escalated now since the beginning of this incident. What we saw the first night was bad. What we've seen subsequent to that is getting increasingly worse and more violent. Tonight we had individuals out there shooting commercial-grade fireworks at our officers. That can kill you. And we have adapted our tactics to be able to have a chance to be able to take these people into custody and to be able to hold them accountable. We are overwhelmed as far as the number of people out there engaged in this type of activity and the type of things that they're doing. They'll take backpacks, and the backpack will have a cinder block in it. They have a hammer, and they'll break up the cinder block and use that, pass it around to throw at officers, to throw at cars, and throw at other people. We've seen people with hammers, and you've broadcasted, breaking the bollards behind the federal building and taking the rocks, if you will, or pieces of concrete, and throwing them at officers. We've had liquid of who knows what description thrown at officers. There's no limit to what they're doing to our officers.
And right now we want to go to some video. This is from Los Angeles, actually some live video there. You heard the chief talk about some of those burned out cars there. Again, this is some video from those riots that happened overnight and the protests that continue. Let's check in now. Reporter Rob Scott got a first-hand look at some of those dangerous fireworks the chief also mentioned. Take a look at this.
Well, the chaos here in downtown Los Angeles continues tonight. I got to say, it doesn't feel like the LA we all know and are familiar with. This feels like some sort of third world conflict zone. I mean, we have fires burning in the middle of intersections. We have police and law enforcement agencies under constant attack by these protesters. They have had rocks hurled through the windscreen. And now they are firing fireworks directly at officers who have backed off a bit, I've got to say. And as the night has worn on, the number of protesters certainly has dwindled, but they are the ones left are the real anarchists, the ones who are intent on causing the most damage, the most mayhem. Donald Trump, as we know, has ordered in 2,000 National Guardsmen, he says, to basically crush these riots. The California governor, Gavin Newsom, warned that sending in those troops would only make things worse, be inflammatory, and that certainly does appear to be the case. And now we are learning that the Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, has more than 500 active duty Marines on standby to come in here if necessary. So as the night is wearing on, tensions are not dissipating. Things are only going to get worse, I fear. I'm Rob Scott in downtown Los Angeles. Back to you.
And just as authorities are trying to keep violence from escalating, the city officials are asking people to remember to stay calm as those National Guard troops move in.
California lawmakers are also accusing the Trump administration of trying to make things worse. NBC's Chris Pallone reports.
As violent unrest in downtown Los Angeles spills into a fourth day, President Trump is defending his decision to deploy National Guard troops there against the wishes of California's governor.
We're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart.
The protests began in response to ongoing immigration raids. Federal agents arresting about 150 migrants around L.A. Protests, which started peacefully, turned violent, with demonstrators burning cars and throwing bottles and chunks of concrete at police.
These kids on the car, the folks that are taking advantage of this, these aren't peaceful protesters, a lot of these folks.
California's Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom blaming President Trump for inflaming a tense situation. It's the first time a president has activated a state's National Guard force without a request from the state's governor since the civil rights era.
Donald Trump has created the conditions you see on your TV tonight. He's exacerbated the conditions.
In D.C., lawmakers divided.
My concern, of course, is that this inflames the situation and that he is hell-bent on inflaming the situations.
One of our core principles is maintaining peace through strength. We do that on foreign affairs and domestic affairs as well. I don't think that's heavy-handed.
Meanwhile, the administration is threatening to arrest any state and local officials who interfere with immigration enforcement.
Stand in the way of law and order, they will face charges.
A political standoff still simmering as the situation on the ground boils over. The president activated a total of 2,000 National Guard troops in California. About 300 are on the streets of Los Angeles right now. And Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said active duty Marines are ready to deploy to California if the White House deems it necessary. In Washington, Chris Pallone, NBC News.
There is more breaking news this morning out of Hartsville, Tennessee, where a prison riot broke out overnight. It happened at the Trousdale Turner Correctional Facility. We've learned 2 guards were being held hostage. Now, they've since been released. Authorities say this started when several inmates refused to return to their cells. We're still working to learn more about the situation. Officials say no inmates escaped and all were returned to their cells.
Well, up in the mountains, some promising news this morning. We now are learning when Chimney Rock is going to finally reopen. The park's set to welcome back visitors on June 27th. That's exactly 9 months after Hurricane Helene forced that iconic spot to shut down. Reservations will be required. The park's reservation site will go live in the coming weeks.
Dangerous weather is threatening millions of people across the south and east today, and what could be yet another round of deadly and destructive storms. Ryan Chandler reports from Dallas.
A severe storm system churning out at least 1 tornado at the Oklahoma-Texas border, with huge swaths of the U.S. in the danger zone during a weekend of wild weather.
Oh my gosh!
An astonishing supercell in New Mexico, turning the sky dark. And this tornado touching down in Missouri, spinning 105-mile-per-hour winds for nearly 5 miles, damaging dozens of buildings and downing trees and power lines. The string of storms turning deadly. Georgia's governor says 1 person died due to severe weather there. Another death confirmed in Mississippi. And in Boston today, an eerie haze as smoke from Canadian wildfires blankets parts of New England. Chief Meteorologist Rick Mitchell with our NBC station in Dallas says the worst weather could come to parts of Oklahoma and Texas in the middle of the night, and that could be more dangerous.
It's those people that go to bed at 9:30 and it's doing nothing, and then all of a sudden, bam, a tree goes through a window, wakes them up. Those are the folks that, I have concern.
All right, meantime, got to be weather alerts this afternoon and this evening.
Yeah, I think it's really starting at 6 p.m.
Okay.
So you pretty much can get everything in. And that's still kind of a waiting game because this is one of those kind of precautionary weather alerts. Just because you have a lot of strong storm systems that are still working into our area. Still think a lot of us will see a passing shower or thunderstorm, but it could be a lot worse. Just letting you know that. So temper expectations. If you're waiting for the big one, still a chance. Here's also a look what we've seen over the last 24 hours as far as is concerned for some of the storm reports. So here's the general setup right now. We have a cold front that is pushing through, and then a secondary cold front looks to arrive by tomorrow, and that's creating clear skies right now in between. But here are all the storm reports. Check that out. A bunch of hail reports and wind damage reports, especially from North Texas over into Oklahoma. And we even had some wind damage reports here over the last 24 hours in South Carolina and in parts of North Carolina from a storm system. So not much actually happened here. It was all south of our area, and I actually want to show you over the last 48 hours to show you how lucky our counties have been. So check this out. This is the last 48 hours. Look at all those storm and wind damage reports. So we were talking about a weather alert day on Saturday. Well, it happened just once it got to our area. All of a sudden it got out of here, and here I'll show you the next 72 hours, for example. We did have a little bit of wind damage here that was really just late on Friday heading into Saturday in the northern parts of Iredell County, where there was a thunderstorm system that set up really beautiful clouds. You can see the lightning flashing. That's what everyone calls heat lightning, even though it's not a real thing in the weather world, but you could visibly see that lightning off in the distance. But a lot has happened over the last really 48 to 72 hours across the country. Just really not much in our area, and I'm not saying that we are complaining about that news. Our beautiful Carolina Blues will be with us for, I would say, half the day, and then we're picking up more clouds by the afternoon. So by the time the Majestic and Ben and Lisa are going to be talking during the midday show, they're going to see some signs of some fair weather cumulus clouds starting to populate, and then we'll turn partly sunny by day's end. High temperatures in the upper 80s. So here's a look what you can expect over the next 36 hours. That stationary front will turn into just a plain old cold front pushing its way off towards the east. And it's this secondary one. This cold front is the one that could bring us some rain for tomorrow, but it's right within this sector that you're going to have one storm system after another starting to populate the area and then give us that thunderstorm potential for that front eventually is going to trigger a storm or two during the middle of the afternoon. So let's get right over to it. So our severe weather window is really between about 6 to 2 a.m. Gusty winds and strong storms to be a possibility. Best way I think to keep ahead of this is just having WCNC Plus downloaded. It's always a real advantage, especially when Brad and Brittany are here with the storms rolling through a little bit later on in the evening. And then we'll keep you in the know if anything's really hit in the morning for the first part of the afternoon. But a closer look at our futurecast, we're seeing our first signs of thunderstorms really between about 5 and 8. Best chance for that leftover system to work its way into our weather alert window is between about 8 to midnight. That's where you can see a little Boeing segment like what we're seeing here. Slight chance for a little tornado spin up as well. And then outside of that, I think you have some general rain to kick off your Tuesday morning. Slight chance for a little shower to greet us with a thunderstorm potential in the middle of your Tuesday afternoon. As far as any rotational tracks, has a chance for a tornado to spin up. It would really have to happen during the late evening. Even though we do see some signs that there'll be some twists of the atmosphere, this is a really low chance where even the Storm Prediction Center has taken a big step back as far as the tornado potential for the Carolinas in general. Our extended forecast, our 7-day forecast, you can see 89 degrees today, 85 for Tuesday, right around 90 degrees on Thursday, and then the upper 80s heading through this coming weekend. But a beautiful morning so far, right, Majestic? We've been enjoying our morning commute and our weather report.
Oh, it's so gorgeous outside. Always better when you get to start your Monday with a whole lot of sunshine. Look at this. Nothing but clear skies, sunshine, but we do have an accident I want to let you know about. It's on I-77 southbound lanes at LaSalle. Look at all those cars that are really starting to build. Now, they are actually moving. They're just moving rather slowly because of this ongoing accident. As we switch it over to my traffic map, this is where it currently is. Notice, again, this is going to be southbound lanes that are impacting your morning commute. Lots of red though, so delays are at about 5 to 10 extra minutes for that morning commute. Lots of ongoing accidents, so it's been so quiet for the first part of our morning, but now we got some problems out there, especially if you typically take Highway 49 out towards Lake Wiley. Maybe you're heading inbound. This will slow down your morning commute. The first one here is at Steelcroft Parkway. Second one here is still on Highway 49 at Lyons Main Street. As we're looking at Independence now, we have one accident. It's on Independence and Village Lake Drive. You can see just some yellow popping up, so not seeing any major impacts with that. But it's a different story here on Highway 21, Albemarle Road and Holly Rose Drive. Look at all of this red. Seeing that ongoing accident, seems like cars are just having a hard time getting around it, so that backup is really starting to build. Be mindful of that if your morning commute does typically take you that way. Want to show you a quick look at I-85. Not seeing anything too out of the ordinary. We'll keep a close eye on all those ongoing accidents. Just take it easy. Grab those sunglasses for your Monday morning commute.
8:22 now, time to connect the dots. That's when we make the news make sense. They are small, they're digital, and they're changing how your grocery store sets prices. But are those electronic shelf labels helping shoppers or hurting them?
Digital price tags are popping up in more grocery stores. A new study finds they're not being used to quietly raise prices. Let's connect the dots. Electronic shelf labels let stores change prices with a click of a button. That's raised fears about surge pricing, like charging more for ice cream on hot days. But researchers looked at 5 years of data from one grocery chain. They found virtually no price surges after digital tags were added. In fact, discounts were slightly more common after stores switched. Still, critics worry the labels could be misused or even cost workers their jobs as automation grows. Some states are considering limits or bans. Meanwhile, major chains like Walmart, Kroger, and Whole Foods are expanding their use. Retailers say the tech saves time, cuts food waste, and can help shoppers find products faster. Bottom line, digital price tags may be here to stay, but the debate over how they're used is far from over. And that's connecting the dots.
The Beach Boys took over Valentine's Saturday night to deliver some good vibrations to a sold-out crowd.
But as WCNC Charlotte's Larry Sprinkle explains, it was one group of excited fans who ended up stealing the show.
California has come to the Carolinas in the form of the Beach Boys, and so have a lot of people and one very special group from Phillips Academy.
The Phillips Academy group got a special invitation from the Beach Boys to their sold-out show at the amphitheater, the Amp in Ballantyne, as part of their Sounds of Summer tour.
Then it's going to be like watching a, for lack of a better way of putting it, kind of a little thunderstorm on stage.
Charlottean David Beard actually publishes the Beach Boys magazine. His son Ethan invited some of his friends to come along and join in the fun.
I am so excited for the Beach Boys and with my crew, and I'm very excited.
Phillips Academy serves middle and high school students with developmental and intellectual disabilities.
It's a good opportunity to kind of celebrate all of their success, all that they've accomplished this year, and just for them to have a space to be with their friends is a really, really unique thing.
Then the highlight of the entire concert. The students joined the Beach Boys and special guest John Stamos to sing the hit song Barbara Ann. A night of timeless music and unforgettable memories for these inspiring young performers. In Ballantyne, Larry Sprinkle, back to you.
Something they won't forget anytime soon.
I was going to say, looks like a great time was had by all.
Great music, too. All right, let's go to live pictures right now over Uptown to get your Monday started right. Coming up in just a minute, we'll have another check of your forecast and your morning commute that's coming your way right here on WCNC Plus.
Well, welcome everybody. High temperatures today will reach right around the 89-degree point, so nothing record-breaking, just slightly above normal. The normal high is 86. 86 is where we're going to be in Hickory, 87 in Statesville, and 89s across the stretch of road that goes from Gastonia up through Salisbury. I'm talking about I-85. Here's our window of opportunity that we could see a stronger storm. I think you see some scattered thunderstorms to begin the evening. Better chance really from 8 to midnight as a leftover system starts to roll into the area. I think things are going to be strongest in South Carolina and south of I-85. These are the areas that we're really watching, and that could last as late as midnight to 1 a.m. That's why we have such a big window there. For our extended forecast, though, we are anticipating temperatures to be all over the place. 85 by tomorrow, back to 90 on Thursday, and then the upper 80s as usual heading into the weekend. Majestic?
All right, good Monday morning, everyone. Heading out the door this morning. It is gorgeous. Lots of sunshine out there, but we do have a slowdown I want to let you know about. I-77 southbound lanes. You can see it here. It's at LaSalle. We did have an accident, still have an ongoing wreck. You can see it here on our live traffic maps. All of that red indicating those slowdowns on I-77 southbound. Your delays are about 5 to 10 additional extra minutes, so make sure you allow for that as you're heading out the door. Otherwise, it is a busy start to our Monday morning. If you typically take Highway 49 coming in from the Lake Wiley area, we have 2 accidents. This one here at Stillcroft Parkway, and this one here looks like it was just cleared, so that's some good news for you. Take it easy, drive safe, and grab those sunglasses.
We're streaming live on WCNC Plus at 8:30. I'm Lisa Washington.
And I'm Ben Thompson. Later today, the Charlotte City Council is set to vote on next year's budget, impacted everything from your taxes to youth programs.
WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards is live this morning. And Destiny, you spoke with a local councilwoman who says that has more about what this means for families across the city.
That's right. Councilwoman Dimple Ajmira, she's the chair of the budget committee, and she says that they're really trying to prioritize investing in and supporting youth in Charlotte, and that is reflected through some of the budget adjustments from last week's straw vote. Now, the city's $3.6 billion budget sets aside millions for community programs. That includes 2 organizations that support Charlotte's most vulnerable students. The Greater Enrichment Program provides free after-school care in Title I schools, and they received the full $200,000 they requested. But there were other groups that weren't sure they'd get anything. The Save Our Children movement, a one-stop youth resource center in East Charlotte, wasn't expecting city support until council added funding for more nonprofits in a final round of adjustments.
This summer, there's going to be tens of thousands of children out in neighborhoods all across Mecklenburg County. They're allowed to come through, get free food, get free snacks.
We are allowing our parents to have free childcare. We're very concerned because our program, won't be able to operate if we don't receive funding.
Yeah, and that definitely comes at a critical time when federal dollars are drying up for nonprofits and there's more of a demand for youth services. We know City Council is expected to vote on this budget tonight at 5 p.m. right here at the Government Center in Uptown. And with no property tax increase on the budget this year, Councilwoman Ajmira, she told me in the interview that she expects this budget proposal to pass. I'll send it back to you guys live here from Uptown.
And Destiny, aside from those youth programs, what are some of the other areas that are going to be impacted by this?
Yeah, so one of the big things that will affect Charlotte homeowners is that increase in utility and service fees. So that adds up to about an average monthly increase of about $7.49 for each homeowner. We know that city employees are getting an increase in pay to $24 an hour. There's going to be more police funding for new firehouses, an expansion of the 911 call center. And then on the topic of nonprofits, they really wanted to invest in nonprofits that supported seniors, youth, and affordable housing. It was not everyone who made the cut, but they did their best to really invest in those areas they said were priorities for the city.
All right.
Destiny Rich is live for us. Thanks so much for that report, Destiny. All right, let's check back in with Chris now because we are weather alert today.
Yeah, and the thing about today, it's going to be gorgeous. We have lots of sunshine, so that might be confusing. You're like, well, what do you mean? Well, we're weather alert for this evening, so it's a weather alert day, but even though the evening is going to be most impacted. So for the 24 hours that we're dealing with for your Monday, I realistically only think it's about 6 of them that really have a chance for a storm in general. For most of the morning, it's going to look like this. By the afternoon, we're going to have a lot more of those cumulus clouds starting to populate our skies. Nice starting point at either side of 70 degrees, 72 right around Charlotte, 75 already around Charlotte, and then 69 Hickory and Morganton, you doing thing, up to about 71, 87 around Statesville, and then close to 90 degrees around Charlotte, Monroe, Rock Hill, and then I think several spots to the southeast for sure touching that 90 point. I want to get right to our futurecast. We have a few fronts that are near the area. We have a primetime example of what could be a long-lasting storm system that starts to the southwest and makes its way all the way up into the Charlotte area. And what's interesting is oftentimes whenever we have what's called these decaying severe systems, they come from the due west to the northwest. This one, in this case, scenario actually makes it a little more rare that's coming out of the southwest. And that's also keeping our storm chances around a little bit longer because it's still blasting in a decent amount of moisture. Where actually, by the time these storms arrive closer to sunset, it'll be more muggy at that point than it is right now and the way that we're going to feel later in the afternoon. So here's what our futurecast looks like between about 5 to 8 o'clock. we have our first signs of thunderstorms, first starting to the southwest. They're very isolated and scattered. That means about 40% of us or so could be impacted by those to begin our evening. Now, once you get a little bit closer to about the 9 to midnight hours, that's where I think we have this leftover system. Now, one of two things are going to happen. One, it's just all rain and don't really have to worry about the storms at this point. But the worst case of the scenario, you're dealing with more of the strong thunderstorms still embedded with this. If you have any sort of tail like this, that is representing a severe threat. So that's why we're still keeping the weather alert. If I wasn't really seeing indications of something like this, because we've already taken a big step back as far as our tornado potential, and it's south of I-85, I think especially as we close in on midnight, that'll have a chance for a stronger thunderstorm, and then by about 1, 2 o'clock, we're done with it. And as far as our tornado parameters, we see these numbers move slightly, but it's nothing really too major. So I want to move in and show you a different example of our futurecast. This one shows a better chance for a storm a little bit earlier, not too much, mainly down in South Carolina, but that hour of 6 o'clock still verifies because at that point you're still seeing a storm or two. Here's 8 o'clock. Here's 11 o'clock, and then here's 2 o'clock. So I still think after 2, once we close our severe weather window, still a good chance to be rocking and rolling with some thunder and lightning, but I think the severe criteria is way down, and then we'll see a decent amount of rain. So really, to sum this up, chance for storms this evening. Some could be strong, some could be severe. Overnight tonight, just have a general chance for rain to greet us in the morning. But then by your Tuesday afternoon, this is about 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, really from about 1 to 5, we'll have a chance for some thunderstorms to develop along the line, which is a cold front. So those are your near-term rain chances. Once that front clears, we're actually heading in a really nice place. We'll just see a few passing clouds develop during the afternoons. But on Wednesday, we have a much higher chance of staying dry. So likely no storms on Wednesday. We're back to 90 degrees on Thursday and an isolated scattered thunderstorm. That's about a 20 to 40% chance late day on each Friday, Saturday, and again on Sunday. So that's your weather. Now we have to head over to traffic with Majestic. Anything new since the last time we talked?
Still following really this bigger accident on I-77, southbound lanes being impacted by it. You can see it in my live traffic map. Still seeing lots of red here, meaning stop and go conditions is what you need to be ready for. I-77 on LaSalle Street, that's exactly where this ongoing crash is, and the one that we've been carefully watching for you for the last few minutes now. So it may impact your morning commute if that's where you typically drive early in the day. Otherwise, it's been pretty quiet. Haven't seen any major concerns. I want to show you a live look of what that road actually looks like. It was completely stopped at one point, but it seems like it's starting to move a little smoother. That's some good news for you. Otherwise, here's this one new accident that just popped up. It's right here on Wilkinson. You can see the red right around it, and Huntingland Road. All of that red just by 485. Those are the two biggest accidents you'll want to know about before you head out. We'll have another update coming up in just a few.
All right, Majestic, thanks so much. Now, 8:38 now, we want to show you some new video this morning on those dangerous riots that are happening in Los Angeles.
Yeah, we've been talking about it throughout the morning here on WCNC Plus. Now, some video footage captured the moment an Australian network reporter, Lauren Tomasi, was struck by a rubber bullet fired by a police officer standing behind her while she was trying to do her job. Take a look.
After hours of standing off, this situation has now rapidly deteriorated. The LAPD moving in on horseback, firing rubber bullets at protesters, moving them on through the heart of LA.
You just shut the up.
You okay? I'm good.
Well, certainly unexpected there. Again,
Speaking to the escalating situation there, the reporter we heard from earlier was in the middle of a report last night, and you could saw fireworks go off directly behind him,
right,
dangerously close behind him. A dangerous situation for folks.
For sure. We've even seen some small fires in the area as well. So certainly a situation there unraveling out in Los Angeles. We know that nearly 300 National Guard members are in LA right now on the fourth day of these protests. The rioters yesterday set those self-driving cars on fire in downtown LA as protesters blocked a busy freeway.
The protests evidently coming after a number of immigration raids there in Southern California over the last few days. This in response to that, and we are also seeing a reaction from the federal government as well as state officials there. likely to dominate the news cycle here this week. In the meantime, 8:39 right now, and we're learning more about plans to widen a major road in Lancaster County here. WCNC Charlotte's Walker Lawson has the details on how Highway 521 could see more lanes and what roadblocks are in the way.
What sounds like an interstate also feels like one for drivers.
Busy. Very busy, very crowded, dangerous.
And that's how Joe Hathaway describes US 521, the main artery through Lancaster County. It's a corridor that brings thousands of commuters from Mecklenburg County into South Carolina every day. And now county officials say it's time for an expansion.
We are seeing certainly lots of growth in the panhandle of the northern part, Indian Land area, which is putting a lot of pressure for congestion and growth on the 521 corridor.
The plan is to widen US 521 by adding one lane in each direction from the state line 7.5 miles south through the county. But while the plan exists, funding does not.
We did go to the voters last November and said, do you want to put a dedicated sales tax for transportation to fund that, as well as a bunch of other road projects countywide? The voters said, they didn't think that was the way to go about it.
Dennis Marstall, county administrator, says they are considering going back to the voters in 2025 for a smaller funding plan. At the most recent council meeting, they took a vote to apply for grants in the meantime.
Did a support resolution for our up to $50 million grant application to the state, saying this is a priority for the county, that we do want state support. We do have local funding that we can use for match to put into that.
But this project is still years out.
So if we get this grant for this fall, drive time could still be up to 3 to 4 years. Now, if we don't get this grant, we do get a transportation sales tax adopted in November, and we look at the full 7.5 miles, that could easily be an 8-year project.
So for now, drivers will continue navigating congestion as the county chases a long-term fix. Reporting in Lancaster County, Walker Lawson, WCNC Charlotte.
8:42 right now on WCNC Plus. A Hickory firefighter will be honored today after losing his life in the line of duty. Jake Bridges suffered a medical emergency shortly after crews extinguished a fire last week. A procession for Bridges will travel from Winston-Salem to Catawba County. It's expected to start around 12:15 and travel west on I-40. Funeral arrangements have not yet been announced.
The search continues this morning for the person who shot and killed a 17-year-old girl in North Charlotte. Nevaeh Carter was killed at the intersection of North Graham Street and Craighead Road on May 31st. More than a week later, there's still no arrests. This weekend, family and friends gathered at that intersection to remember the light she brought to everyone she met.
I got to experience 17 beautiful years with my daughter. Everybody that knows Nevaeh knows to love Nevaeh. Nevaeh has a beautiful soul.
Police are asking anyone with information in this case to call Crime Stoppers.
People in West Charlotte seeking solutions this weekend to prevent gun violence. Angels of No Mercy hosted a Walk a Mile in Our Shoes event at West Charlotte High. It's the event's 5th year and started after the organizer went through just unspeakable tragedy. She lost her loved ones in 2 separate shootings just a few months apart.
My son and my grandson were killed 5 years ago. I think events like this helps to calm it down a little bit. You know, hoping that people will come by, they'll see us here or see us marching and know that we stand for something.
This all happening during National Gun Violence Awareness Month. Another event to raise awareness took place at the Union County Judicial Center in Monroe.
This morning, a new landmark honors Black history in the Queen City. Over the weekend, Mecklenburg County leaders unveiled a historic marker at the Franks house. Arthur and Bessie Franks bought their home on Dunbar Street in 1949. It was one of the few Black-owned homes in the area at the time. And while the 3rd Ward changed over the decades due to the construction of 277, their home remained a fixture in the area. The Franks family owned that property for more than 60 years. Well, mosquitoes are coming out during this warm and wet spring we're having.
But before you lather up with this stinky, shiny bug spray, Megan Malaris verifies whether an all-natural alternative can stop the scratch with all that smell.
Is lavender oil an effective mosquito repellent? Our sources to verify are the National Institutes of Health, biologist Frank Fowler with Forshaw, and the CDC, who disagree.
Lavender is actually a plant, and there's an essential oil that's derived from that plant that has long been known for its insecticidal and insect repellent qualities.
Research published in NIH looked at plant-based repellents dating back generations. It found essential oils from plants, including lavender, showed good repellency over an 8-hour test time. Online, you'll find various DIY solutions on how to dilute the lavender by mixing it with a carrier oil, but be cautious.
You want to use a product that has been researched, has some government data behind it, and has been deemed safe to apply to your skin or to apply to your yard.
The CDC does not recommend lavender oil for this purpose. The only plant-derived ingredients on its list of suggested repellents are lemon eucalyptus oil and the compound 2-undecanon, found in bananas and cloves.
Megan Miller is verifying for us. If you have something you'd like us to verify, all you got to do, email us at verify@wcnc.com.
And it's only appropriate that we do our Skeeter meter right, and you can expect this map to not really change too much, and this is really based on your relative humidity. By the way, below 80 degrees, they don't like it as much, but that 80 to 90 degree range, boy, do they flourish. And guess what June typically is? 80 to 90. Guess what our extended 7-day forecast is? Pretty much 80 to 90. Now, once you get to Wednesday, it's just high. It's not that yuck status, but I think Tuesday is going to be a lot more humid. So it just really depends where you are and also how high that mugginess gets, because humid air is actually less dense than dry air. So that allows them to be able to travel a lot more freely. So now you know. Our Dallas camera has been my favorite so far. That was the one that I've been showing you the most, because that's where we've seen the most of those Carolina blues. But that's not the end all. We also have some other great cameras. We also have Lyallsville over here in Anson County, actually showing a clearer sky. So absolutely gorgeous. Both cameras are over 1,000 feet up, which gives us a great advantage. Current temperatures right now are around 72 in Charlotte, 69 in Hickory, and by the end of the day we have the mid to the upper 80s all in all. So let's get right to that. But our impact window, I do want to talk about the main event, and that's going to be the chance for some gusty winds, some lightning, and I moved isolated tornado down slightly. Yesterday evening, the Storm Prediction Center had us under a low risk for tornadoes. Now we have a 0 risk. That doesn't mean you're not going to see it. It's just not as high, not as likely, but we do have the slightest indication that still an isolated tornado could happen, especially between about 9 to midnight. So let's take a closer look. Seeing some scattered showers and storms starting to greet us by the early evening. So regardless of tornado, no tornado, severe thunderstorm warning, or nothing at all, you're still going to have storms nearby. And a lot of this is coming from already storms that have established themselves and had a history. Likely a lot of wind damage will be associated with these from Georgia over into Alabama as well. Once they get to our neck of the woods, one of two things is going to happen. One, they continue to weaken and it just turns into gentle rain. Maybe you hear some rumbles of thunder. Or two, we see them stay together pretty decently and feed off the energy that we still have in place, because we're still going to be more humid this evening than we are right now, and certainly by later on this afternoon, which could keep this together. And if that's the case, you have a little bit of a bowing segment, some gusty winds would be possible, some of us waking up to some wind damage or just some down larger tree limbs, and then also a slight chance for a tornado as well. We have this tornado parameter that pops up. Realistically, that 8 to midnight is the only time you see a number move. Outside of that, we don't really have a lot that couples into that, but I'm still going to keep it there. We call this a non-zero. I'll call this maybe a 0.5 to a 1% chance for a tornado, but that's still going to be worth mentioning. Another look at our futurecast, just because we want to show you a few different examples. This one doesn't have that bowing segment that I was talking about, but it does keep thunderstorms around for much of that window. Outside of 2 o'clock, I still think you have a chance for rain, and that rain could jog into your early morning commute. And then after that, we will have a slight chance for a redevelopment of some showers right along the cold front. Let's call that about 1 to 5 during your Tuesday afternoon. And then actually, we're going to dry out behind that. But check out our muggy meter. It actually comes down by about 4 or 5 degrees for the middle of the afternoon. That'll make things feel a little bit better. But then by the evening, once that secondary system rolls in, there's still plenty of storm fuel because we're closer to 70 degrees. And then it doesn't drop too much heading into tomorrow afternoon. Wednesday by far is going to be the most comfortable day as well. Dew point dropping down pretty close to that comfortable range before we're potentially challenging the muggiest day of the year status by this coming weekend. And then we will also have another shot at getting back to 90 degrees as well. So our next 90-degree high, or next best chance, we're pretty close today actually. I have a high of 89 and then another 90-degree on Thursday, and then the upper 80s take over Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. By the way, by the end of June, we officially move up to a 90-degree average high temperature, so you can expect a lot more of this range, especially a couple weeks from now. So enjoy the 85s and the slightly less humid days while we have them, and enjoy the quieter commutes like what we had earlier. Maybe not so much anymore in Majestic.
It's definitely picking up, that's for sure, but at least we get some sunshine for our Monday morning commute. That always makes things at least a little bit better. Let's start with a look at those drive times. Coming in from Gastonia, just under 30 minutes to get you there, and if you're coming in from Salisbury, about 49 minutes. Live look outside. It is gorgeous, isn't it? I-77 out towards Lake Norman. Not seeing anything too out of the ordinary there, but multiple accidents are ongoing, including this one. All of this red here indicating that stop and go traffic. It's on Wilkinson Boulevard, this crash here in Huntingland Road, so creating some slowdowns, but still traffic is able to get around it, so I'm not too majorly concerned with it. A new accident just popping up here. It's on Lawton Road and Roswell's Ferry Road. You can see the yellow there. Those inbound lanes is what's being impacted this morning. Albemarle Road and Hallie Rose Drive. I've been watching this for over 30 minutes now. It's not stopped. It's just slow moving traffic. You can see it there, shaded mainly in that orange color. And then this last one here, there's a new wreck. It's on W.T. Harris Boulevard, so just make sure you're driving safe. We'll have another update coming up in just a few minutes.
It's Monday morning trivia time, and today's trivia is all about movies, but not just any movie. It's movies made right here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Not in any particular order, but we go back in time to the movie Joanna Man. Speedway with Elvis was actually shot in Charlotte at the Speedway. Hunger Games, a famous film. The movie Nell was shot right here. Tom Cruise spent some time in Charlotte making Days of Thunder. The Vampire Next Door, filmed right here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Other movies made here was Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Yes, The Eyes of Tammy Faye, all about the downfall of the PTL Club. And then Will Ferrell spent a lot of time in Charlotte making Talladega Nights, the Ballad of Ricky Bobby, with famous lines like shake and bake and if you're not first, then you're last. That's your Monday morning trivia. I'm Larry Sprinkle.
Panthers quarterback Bryce Young gave back to the Charlotte community this weekend, hosting a free football camp for nearly 300 kids. Panthers head coach Dave Canales and many of the Young's teammates showed up in support. Now, the camp not only focused on football, but also mental health. That's a big part of what Young does through his foundation.
In the middle of the camp, we kind of paused to do some breathing and meditation, and I've had a couple of kids after that kind of come up to me and ask me more questions on it, share some things that they have done or said, and wanted my opinion on it. And again, that's something that means so much to me, and being able to give people tools that stretch beyond just the football field. I'm very grateful to be in that situation.
We have an extended interview with Bryce Young streaming now on WCNC Plus. You can download what you're watching right now on WCNC Plus. Continue to watch, including that interview with Bryce Young.
Well, when it comes to aging, it's not just about staying wrinkle-free. It also means making sure you are able to still do the things that you enjoy.
Now, there are actually some tests that you can try at home, and researchers say all you need is a toothbrush, a timer, and a good sense of humor. One fun and surprisingly effective test is to stand on one leg while brushing your teeth. You can probably do that, right? Maybe you're brushing your teeth now. Here's the thing, if you can do it for about 30 seconds, that's a great sign of lower body strength and coordination. The other, which our Chris Mulcahy tried early this morning, is the floor to feet test. Here's what you do. Sit on the floor, stand up without using your hands. That's a sign that you are still in great shape.
I will be trying that as soon as we wrap up here. A new survey is breaking down life's little annoyances that are most likely leading to sending our stress levels through the roof. Talker research finds the biggest stressor is that moment, say you're at the grocery store and you spot your ex.
Oof.
Or just somebody you do not like. Right behind that is getting a knock on the front door when you're not expecting guests.
don't come over unannounced.
That's right. Other small annoyances include slow Wi-Fi. Yeah, I'd rather have no Wi-Fi than slow Wi-Fi. Slow Wi-Fi is the worst. Or seeing that spinning wheel of doom when you're trying to watch a movie or a TV show and it's like buffering or something.
Oh yeah, that happens all the time.
I will say a knock at the door is at the bad time is.
Oh yeah, happened to me over the weekend.
It feels intrusive, even though it's not. It feels intrusive.
Like, don't knock, don't do it.
Because in my case, the dog barks, and it's like, why?
Yeah.
It said no,
selling something. I was
said
like,
no soliciting.
No, thank you.
All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break right here on WCNC Plus. Keep it right here. Coming up in just a minute, we'll have another check of your forecast and traffic. And then there are our colleagues right there in the Live Impact Stream studio getting ready. All the breaking news happening as it happens across the country and right here in Charlotte. That's coming your way at 9 a.m. only on WCNC Plus.
Most of your Monday is going to be okay. High temperatures in the upper 80s. So what we've been dealing with pretty much for the entirety of the weekend, slight heat index, more clouds by the end of the day. And the more clouds we get, the more moisture could lead to our next weather impact window. That's between 6 and 2 o'clock. Gusty winds, lightning, and an isolated tornado is going to be the possibility. Now our Guy Roofing 70 forecast down in the mid 80s with a slight afternoon thunderstorm chance on Tuesday. No chance for storms on Wednesday. Back to 90 with those storm chances increasing heading into the weekend. Now up next we have Majestic.
All right, good Monday morning, everyone. Time to wake up and get our new work week started. It is gorgeous out there, but I need you to still take it easy on those roads as we still have several accidents that are ongoing. Coming in from Matthews, it's going to take you about 26 minutes. You can see a live look outside. I-77 at Lake Norman looks beautiful, doesn't it? We have this accident here that's bringing some slowdowns as we zoom it in. It's on Wilkinson Boulevard and Huntersland Road, so do be mindful of that. This other one here is in between Lawton Road and Roswell's Ferry Road. Stay close to WCNC. We'll keep you up to date with the very latest. Have a great day.